Human health and disease. Health for a long time was considered as a state of body and mind where there was a balance of certain humors. This is what early Greek like Hippocrates as well as Indian Ayurveda system of medicine asserted. It was thought that person with black bile belonged to hot personality and would have fever. This idea was arrived at by pure reflective thought. The discovery of blood circulation of William Harvey using experimental method and the demonstration of normal body temperature in person with black bile using thermometer disproved the good humor hypothesis of health. In later years, biology stated that mind influences through the neural system and endocrine system, our immune system, and that our immune system maintains our health. Hence, mind and mental state can affect our health. Of course, health is affected by one genetic disorder, deficiencies with which a child is born, and deficiencies or defects which the child inherits from parent from birth. 2. Infection, and 3. Lifestyle, including food and water we take, rest and exercise we give to our bodies, habits that we have or lack, etc. The term health is very frequently used by everybody. How do we define it? Health does not simply mean absence of disease or physical fitness. It could be defined as a state of complete physical, mental and social well-being. When people are healthy, they are more efficient at work. This increases productivity and brings economic prosperity. Health also increases longevity of people and reduces infant and maternal mortality. Balanced diet, personal hygiene and regular exercise are very important to maintain good health. Yoga has been practiced since the time immemorial to achieve physical and mental health. Awareness about disease and their effect on different bodily functions, vaccination, immunization against infectious disease, proper disposal of waste, control of vector and maintenance of hygiene in food and water resources are necessary for achieving good health. When the functioning of one or more organs or system of the body is adversely affected, characterized by appearance of various signs and symptoms, we say that we are not healthy, that is, we have a disease. Disease can be broadly grouped into infectious and non-infectious. Disease which are easily transmitted from one person to another are called infectious disease. Infectious diseases are very common and every one of us suffer from these at some times or other. Some of the infectious diseases like AIDS are fatal. Among non-infectious diseases, cancer is the major cause of death. Drug and alcohol abuse also affect our health adversely. Common disease in human. A wide range of organisms belonging to bacteria, virus, fungi, protozoan, helminthes, etc. could cause diseases in man. Such diseases causing organisms are called pathogen. Most parasites are therefore pathogen as they cause harm to host by living in or on them. The pathogens can enter our body by various means, multiplying and interfere with normal vital activities, resulting in morphological and functional damage. Pathogens have to adapt to life within the environment of the host. For example, the pathogen that enter the gut must know a way of surviving in the stomach at low pH and resisting the various digestive enzymes. A few representative remember from different groups of pathogenic organisms are discussed here along with the disease caused by them. Preventive and control measures against these diseases in general are also briefly described. Salmonella typhi is a pathogenic bacterium which causes typhoid fever in human beings. These pathogens generally enter the small intestine through the food and water contaminated with them and migrate to other organs through blood. Sustained high fever 39 degree to 40 degrees centigrade, weakness, stomach pain, constipation, headache and loss of appetite are some of the common symptoms of this disease. Intestinal perforation and death may occur in several cases. Typhoid fever could be confirmed by Weidel test, a classic case in medicine. That of Mary Mellon, nicknamed Typhoid Mary, is worth mentioning here. She was a cook by profession and was a typhoid carrier who continued to spread typhoid for several years through the food she prepared. Bacteria like Streptococcus pneumonia and Haemophilus influenza are responsible for the disease pneumonia in human, which infect the alveoli air-filled sacs of the lungs. As a result of the infection, the alveoli get filled with fluid, leading to severe problems in respiration. The symptoms of pneumonia include fever, chills, cough, headache. In severe cases, the leaves and fingernails may turn gray to bluish in color. A healthy person acquires the infection by inhaling the droplets or aerosols released by an infected person, or even by sharing glasses and utensils with an infected person. Dysentery, plague, diphtheria, etc. are some of the other bacterial diseases in man. Many viruses also cause disease in human beings. Rhinovirus represents one such group of viruses which cause one of the most infectious human ailments, the common cold. They infect the nose and respiratory passage but not the lung. The common cold is characterized by nasal congestion and discharge, sore throat, hoarseness, cough, headache, tiredness, etc., which usually last for 3 to 7 days. Droplets resulting from cough or sneeze of an infected person are either inhaled directly or transmitted through contaminated objects such as pen, book, cup, doorknob, computer, keyboard or mouse, etc., and cause infection in a healthy person. Some of the human diseases are caused by Protozoan too. You might have heard about malaria, a disease man has been fighting since many years. Plasmodium, a tiny protozoan, is responsible for this disease. Different species of Plasmodium, Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium malaria, Plasmodium falciparum are responsible for different types of malaria. Of these, malignant malaria caused by Plasmodium falciparum is the most serious one and can even be fatal. Let us take a glance at the life cycle of Plasmodium. Plasmodium enters the human body as sporozoids. Infections form through the bite of infected female Anopheles mosquito. The parasites initially multiply within the liver cell and then attack the red blood cell RBC, resulting in their rupture. The rupture of RBC is associated with release of a toxic substance, hemozoin, which is responsible for a chill and high fever recurring every 3 or 4 days. When a female Anopheles mosquito bites an infected person, these parasites enter the mosquito's body and undergo further development. The parasites multiply within them to form sporozoites that are stored in their salivary gland. When these mosquito bite a human, the sporozoites are introduced into his or her body, thereby initiating the events mentioned above. It is interesting to note that the malaria parasite requires two hosts, human and mosquito, to complete its life cycle. The female Anopheles mosquito is the vector transmitting agent too. Entavioi histolytica is a protozoan parasite in the large intestine of the human which causes amoebiasis, amoebic dysentery. Symptoms of this disease include constipation, abdominal pain and cramp, stools with excess mucus and blood clots. Houseflies act as mechanical carrier and serve to transmit the parasite from feces to infect person to food and food products, thereby contaminating them. Drinking water and food contaminated by the fecal matter are the main source of infection. Ascaris, the common round worm, and Wucheria, the filarial worm, are some of the helminthes which are known to be pathogenic to man. Ascaris, an intestinal parasite, cause ascariasis. Symptoms of this disease include internal bleeding, muscular pain, fever, anemia, and blockage of intestinal passage. The egg of the parasite are excreted along with the feces of infected person which contaminate soil, water, plant, etc. A healthy person acquires this infection through contaminated water, vegetable, fruits, etc. Wucheria bronchopti, Wucheria malai, the filarial worm, cause a slowly developing chronic inflammation of the organ in which they live for many years. Usually the lymphatic vessel of the lower limb, and the disease is called elephantiasis or filariasis. The genital organs are also often affected, resulting in gross deformity. The pathogens are transmitted to a healthy person through the bite by the female mosquito vector. Many fungi belonging to the genera Mycosporum, Trichophyton, and Epidermophyton are responsible for ringworm, which is one of the most common infectious diseases in man. Appearance of dry, scaly lesions on various parts of the body such as skin, nail, and scalp are the main symptoms of the disease. These lesions accompanied by intense itching. Heat and moisture help them fungi to grow, which make them thrive in skin folds such as those in the groin or between the toes. Ringworms are generally acquired from soil or by using towels, cloth, or even the comb of infected individual. Maintenance of personal and public hygiene is very important for prevention and control of many infectious diseases. Measures of personal hygiene include keeping the body clean, consumption of clean drinking water, food, vegetable, fruits, etc. Public hygiene includes proper disposal of waste and excrete, periodic cleaning and disinfection of water reservoir, pools, cesspool and tank, and observing standard practice of hygiene in public catering. These measures are particularly essential where the infectious agents are transmitted through food and water such as typhoid, amoebiasis, and ascariosis. In case of airborne diseases such as pneumonia, and common cold. In addition to the above measures, close contact with the infected person or their belongings should be avoided. For diseases such as malaria and filariasis that are transmitted through insect vector, the most important measure is to control or eliminate the vector and their breeding place. This can be achieved by avoiding stagnation of water in and around residential area, regular cleaning of household cooler, use of mosquito net, introducing fishes like gambusia in ponds that feed on mosquito larvae, spraying of insecticides in ditches, drainage area and swamp, etc. In addition, doors and windows should be provided with wire mesh to prevent the entry of mosquito. Such precautions have become more important, especially in the light of recent widespread incidents of vector-borne Aedes mosquito diseases like dengue and chikungunya in many parts of India. The advancement made in biological science have armed us to effectively deal with many infectious diseases. The use of vaccine and immunization program have enabled us to completely eradicate a deadly disease like smallpox. A large number of other infectious diseases like polio, diphtheria, pneumonia and tetanus have been controlled to a large extent by the use of vaccines. Biotechnology, about which you will read more in chapter 12, is at the verge of making available newer and safer vaccines. Discovery of antibiotics and various other drugs has also enabled us to effectively treat infectious diseases. Immunity. Every day we are exposed to large number of infectious agents. However, only a few of these exposure result in disease. Why? This is due to the fact that the body is able to defend itself from most of these foreign agents. This overall ability of the host to fight the disease-causing organism conferred by immune system is called immunity. Immunity is two types: innate immunity and acquired immunity. Innate immunity. Innate immunity is non-specific type of defense that is present at the time of birth. This is accomplished by providing different types of barriers to the entry of the foreign agent into our body. Innate immunity consists of four types of barriers. These are: 1. Physical barrier. Skin on our body is the main barrier which prevents entry of the microorganism. Mucus containing of the epithelium lining the respiratory, gastrointestinal and urogenital tract also help in trapping microbes enter our body. 2. Physiological barrier. Acid in the stomach, saliva in the mouth, tears from eye all prevent microbial growth. 3. Cellular barriers. Certain types of leukocyte WBC of our body like polymorphous nuclear leukocyte, PMNL, neutrophil and monocyte and natural killer type of lymphocytes in the blood as well as macrophage in tissue can phagocytes and destroy microbes. 4. Cytokine barrier. Virus infects cell secretes protein called interferons which protect non-infected cell from further viral infection. Acquired immunity. Acquired immunity, on the other hand, a pathogen specific. It is characterized by memory. This means when our body encounters a pathogen for the first time, it produces a response called primary response, which is of low intensity. Subsequent encounter with the same pathogen elicit a highly intensified secondary or anamnestic response. This is ascribed to the fact that our body appears to have memory of the first encounter. The primary and secondary immune response are carried out with the help of two special type of lymphocytes present in our bodies, that is B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes. B lymphocytes produce an army of proteins in response to the pathogen into our blood to fight with them. These proteins are called antibodies. The T cell themselves do not secrete antibodies but help B cell to produce them. Each antibody molecule has four peptide chains, two small called light chain and two longer called heavy chain. Hence, an antibody is represented as H2L2. Different types of antibodies are produced in our body. IgA, IgM, IgE, IgG are some of them. A cartoon of an antibody is given in figure. Because these antibodies are found in the blood, the response is also called a humoral immune response. This is one of the two types of our acquired immune response, antibody mediated. The second type is called cell-mediated immune response or cell-mediated immunity (CMI). The T lymphocyte mediated CMI. Very often when some human organ like heart, eye, liver, kidney fail to function satisfactorily, transplantation is the only remedy to enable the patient to live a normal life. Then a search begins to find a suitable donor. Why is it that the organ cannot be taken from just anybody? What is it that the doctors check grafts from just any source? An animal, another primates or any human beings cannot be made, since the graft would be rejected sooner or later. Tissue matching, blood grouping matching are essential before undertaking any graft transplant, and even after this the patient has to take immunosuppressant for his or her life. The body is able to differentiate self and non-self, and the cell-mediated immune response is responsible for the graft rejection. Active and passive immunity. When a host is exposed to antigen, which may be in the form of living or dead microbes or other proteins, antibodies are produced in the host body. This type of immunity is called active immunity. Active immunity is slow and takes time to give its full effective response. Injecting the microbes deliberately during immunization or infectious organism gaining access into body during natural infection induces active immunity. When ready-made antibodies are directly given to protect the body against foreign agents, it is called passive immunity. Do you know why mother's milk is considered very essential for newborn infant? The yellowish fluid colostrum secreted by mother during the initial days of lactation has abundant antibodies IgA to protect the infant. The fetus also receives some antibodies from their mother through the placenta during pregnancy. These are some examples of passive immunity. Vaccination and immunization. The principle of immunization or vaccination is based on the property of memory of the immune system. In vaccination, a preparation of antigenic proteins of pathogen or inactivated or weakened pathogen vaccine are introduced into the body. The antibodies produced in the body against this antigen would neutralize the pathogenic agent during actual infection. The vaccines also generate memory B and T cell that recognize the pathogen quickly on subsequent exposure and overwhelm the invaders with a massive production of antibodies. If a person is infected with some deadly microbes to which quick immune response is required, as in tetanus, we need to directly inject the preformed antibodies or antitoxin, a preparation containing antibodies to the toxin. Even in case of snake bites, the injection which is given to patient contains preformed antibodies against the snake venom. This type of immunization is called passive immunization. Recombinant DNA technology has allowed the production of antigenic polypeptide of pathogen in bacteria or yeast. Vaccines produced using this approach allow large-scale production and hence greatly availability for immunization. Example, hepatitis B vaccine produced from yeast. Allergies. When you have gone to a new place and suddenly you started sneezing, wheezing or no explained reason, and when you went away, your symptoms disappear. Did this happen to you? Some of us are sensitive to some particles in the environment. The above mentioned reaction could be because of allergy to pollen, mites, etc., which are different in different places. The exaggerated response of the immune system to certain antigen present in the environment is called allergy. The substance to which such an immune response is produced are called allergen. The antibodies produced to these are of IgE type. Common example of allergen are mites in dust, pollen and animal dander, etc. Symptoms of allergic reaction include sneezing, watery eye, running nose and difficulty in breathing. Allergy is due to the release of chemicals like histamine and serotonin from the mast cell. For determining the cause of allergy, the patient is exposed to or injected with some small doses of possible allergen and the reaction started. The use of drugs like antihistamine, adrenaline and steroid quickly reduce the symptom of allergy. Somehow, modern day lifestyle has resulted in lowering immunity and more sensitivity to allergen. More and more children in metro cities of India suffer from allergies and asthma due to sensitivity to environment. This could be because of the protected environment provided early in life. Autoimmunity. Memory-based acquired immunity evolved in higher vertebrates based on the ability to differentiate foreign organisms, that is a pathogen, from self-cell. While we still do not understand the basis of this, two corollaries of this ability have to be understood. One, higher vertebrates can distinguish foreign molecules as well as foreign organisms. Most of the experimental immunology deals with this aspect. Two, sometimes due to genetic and other unknown reasons, the body attracts self-cell. This results in damage to the body and is called autoimmune disease. Rheumatoid arthritis, which affects many people in our society, is an autoimmune disease. Immune system in the body. The human immune system consists of lymphoid organ, tissue, cell and soluble molecules like antibodies. As you have read, immune system is unique in the sense that it recognizes foreign antigen, responds to these and remember them. The immune system also plays an important role in allergic reaction, autoimmune disease, and organ transplantation. Lymphoid organ. These are the organ where origin and or maturation and proliferation of lymphocytes occur. The primary lymphoid organ are bone marrow and thymus, where immature lymphocytes differentiate into antigen-sensitive lymphocytes. After maturation, the lymphocytes migrate to secondary lymphoid organs like spleen, lymph nodes, tonsil, Peyer's patch, or small intestine and appendix. The secondary lymphoid organ provide the site for interaction of lymphocyte with the antigen, which then proliferate to become effector cell. The location of various lymphoid organs in the human body shown in figure. The bone marrow is the main lymphoid organ where all blood cells including lymphocytes are produced. The thymus is a lobe organ located near the heart and beneath the breastbone. The thymus is quite large at the time of birth but keeping reducing in size with the age, and by the time puberty is attained it reduced to very small size. Both bone marrow and thymus provide microenvironment for the development and maturation of T lymphocyte. The spleen is the large bean-shaped organ. It mainly contains lymphocytes and phagocytes. It acts as a filter of the blood by trapping blood-borne microorganisms. Spleen also has a large reservoir of erythrocytes. The lymph nodes are small solid structures located at different points along the lymphatic system. Lymph nodes serve to trap the microorganism or other antigen which happen to get into lymph and tissue fluid. Antigen trapped in the lymph nodes are responsible for the activation of lymphocytes present there and cause the immune response. There is lymphoid tissue also located within the lining of the major tract, respiratory, digestive and urogenital tract, called mucosa associated lymphoid tissue (MALT). It contains about 50% of the lymphoid tissue in human body. AIDS. The word AIDS stands for acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. This means deficiency of immune system acquired during the life of an individual, indicating that it is not a congenital disease. Syndrome means a group of symptoms. AIDS was first reported in 1981 and in the last 25 years or so, it has spread all over the world, killing more than 25 million persons. AIDS is caused by human immune deficiency virus HIV, human immunodeficiency virus, a member of group of virus called retrovirus, which have an envelope enclosing the RNA genome. Transmission of HIV infection generally occurs by a sexual contact with infected person, B by transfusion or contaminated blood and blood product, C by sharing infected needles as in the case of intravenous during the abuser, and D from infected mother to her child through placenta. So people who are at high risk of getting this infection includes individuals who have multiple sexual partners during addict who take drugs intravenously, individuals who require repeated blood transfusion, and children born to an HIV-infected mother. Do you know when do people need repeated blood transfusion? Find out and make a list of such conditions. It is important to note that HIV or AIDS is not spread by mere touch or physical contact. It spread only through blood fluid. It is hence imperative for physical and psychological well-being that the HIV or AIDS infected person are not isolated from family and society. There is always a time lag between the infection and appearance of AIDS symptoms. This period may vary from few months to many years, usually 5 to 10 years. After getting into the body of person, the virus enters into macrophage where RNA genome of the virus replicates to form viral DNA with the help of the enzyme reverse transcriptase. This viral DNA gets incorporated into host cell DNA and direct the infected cell to produce virus particle. The macrophage continue to produce virus and in this way act like HIV factory. Simultaneously, HIV enters into helper T lymphocytes TH, replicates and produce progeny virus. The progeny viruses releases in the blood attack other helper T lymphocytes. This is the repeated leading to a progressive decrease in number of helper T lymphocytes in the body of the infected person. During this period, the person suffers from bouts of fever, diarrhea and weight loss. Due to decrease in the number of helper T lymphocytes, the person started suffering from infection that could have been otherwise overcome, such as those due to bacteria, especially mycobacterium, viruses, fungi, and even parasites like toxoplasma. The patient became so immune deficient that he or she is unable to protect himself or herself against these infection. A widely used diagnostic test for AIDS is enzyme-linked immunosorbent assay (ELISA). Treatment of AIDS with antiretroviral drugs is only partially effective. They can only prolong the life of the patient but cannot prevent death, which is inevitable. Prevention of AIDS. As AIDS has no cure, prevention is the best option. Moreover, HIV infection more often spread due to conscious behavior patterns and is not something that happens inadvertently like pneumonia or typhoid. Of course, infection in blood transfusion patients, newborn from mother, etc. may take place due to poor monitoring. The only excuse may be ignorance, and it has been rightly said, don't die of ignorance. In our community, the National AIDS Control Organization (NACO) and other non-governmental organizations (NGOs) are doing a lot to educate people about AIDS, who has started a number of programs to prevent the spreading of HIV infection, making blood from blood bank safe from HIV, ensuring the use of only disposable needles and syringes in public and private hospitals and clinics, free distribution of condoms, controlling drug abuse, advocating safe sex, and promoting regular checkup for HIV in susceptible population are some such steps taken up. Infection with HIV or having AIDS is something that should not be hidden, since then the infection may spread to many more people. HIV and AIDS infected people need help and sympathy instead of being shunned by the society. Unless society recognizes it as a problem to be dealt with a collective manner, the chances of wider spread of the disease increases manifold. It is a malady that can only be tackled by the society and medical fraternity acting together to prevent the spread of the disease. Cancer. Cancer is one of the most dreaded disease of human being and is a major cause of death all over the globe. More than 1 million Indians suffer from cancer and a large number of them from it annually. The mechanism that underlie development of cancer or oncogenic transformation of cell, its treatment and control have been some of the most intense area of research in biology and medicine. In our body, cell growth and differentiation is highly controlled and regulated. In cancer cell, there is breakdown of these regulatory mechanism. Normal cells show a property called contact inhibition, by virtue of which contact with the other cell inhibits their uncontrolled growth. Cancer cells appear to have lost this property. As a result of this, cancerous cells just continue to divide, giving rise to masses of cells called tumor. Tumors are of two types, benign and malignant. Benign tumors normally remain confined to their original location and do not spread to the other part of the body and cause little damage. The malignant tumors, on the other hand, are a mass of proliferating cells called neoplastic or tumor cells. These cells grow very rapidly, invading and damaging the surrounding normal tissues. As the cells actively divide and grow, they also starve the normal cell by competing for vital nutrients. Cells slaughtered from such tumor reach distant site through blood, and wherever they get lodged in the body, they start a new tumor there. This property, called metastasis, is the most feared property of malignant tumor. Cause of cancer. Transformation of normal cell into cancerous neoplastic cell may be induced by physical, chemical or biological agents. These agents are called carcinogen. Ionizing radiation like X-ray and gamma ray and non-ionizing radiation like UV cause DNA damage, leading to neoplastic transformation. The chemical carcinogens present in tobacco smoke have been identified as a major cause of lung cancer. Cancer-causing viruses called oncogenic virus have gene called viral oncogen. Furthermore, several genes called cellular oncogen, C-onc or proto-oncogen have been identified in normal cells which, when activated under certain conditions, could lead to oncogenic transformation of the cell. Cancer detection and diagnosis. Early detection of cancer is essential as it allows the disease to be treated successfully in many cases. Cancer detection is based on biopsy and histopathological study of the tissue and blood and bone marrow test for increased cell count in the case of leukemia. In biopsy, a piece of suspected tissue cut into thin sections is stained and examined under microscope, histopathological study by a pathologist. Techniques like radiography, use of X-ray, CT, computed tomography and MRI, magnetic resonance imaging are very useful to detect cancer of the internal organ. Computed tomography uses X-ray to generate a three-dimensional image of the internal of an object. MRI uses strong magnetic field and non-ionizing radiation to accurately detect pathological and physiological changes in the living tissues. Antibodies against cancer-specific antigen are also used for detection of certain cancers. The techniques of molecular biology can be applied to detect genes in individuals with inherited susceptibility to certain cancers. Identification of such genes which predispose an individual to certain cancer may be very helpful in prevention of cancer. Such individuals may be advised to avoid exposure to particular carcinogenic to which they are susceptible, example tobacco, smoke in case of lung cancer. Treatment of cancer. The common approaches for treatment of cancer are surgery, radiation therapy and immunotherapy. In radiotherapy, tumor cells are irradiated lethally, taking proper care of normal tissue surrounding the tumor mass. Several chemotherapeutic drugs are used to kill cancerous cells. Some of these are specific for particular tumor. Majority of the lung have side effects like hair loss, anemia, etc. Most cancers are treated by combination of surgery, radiotherapy and chemotherapy. Tumor cells have been shown to avoid detection and destruction by immune system. Therefore, the patients are given substance called biological response modifier such as alpha interferon, which activate their immune system and help in destroying the tumor. Drug and alcohol abuse. Survey and statistics show that the use of drug and alcohol has been on the rise, especially among the youth. This is really a cause of concern as it could result in many harmful effects. Proper education and guidance would enable youth to safeguard themselves against this dangerous behavior pattern and follow healthy lifestyle. The drugs which are commonly abused are opioids, cannabinoids and coca alkaloids. Majority of these are obtained from flowering plants, some are obtained from fungi. Opioids are drugs which bind the specific opioid receptor present in our central nervous system and gastrointestinal tract. Heroin, commonly called smack, is chemically diacetyl morphine, which is a white, odorless, bitter crystalline compound. This is obtained by acetylation of morphine, which is extracted from the latex of poppy plant, Papaver somniferum, generally taken by snorting and injection. Heroin is a depressant and slow down body function. Cannabinoids are group of chemicals which interact with cannabinoid receptor present principally in the brain. Natural cannabinoids are obtained from inflorescences of plant Cannabis sativa. The flower top, leaves and resin of cannabis plant are used in various combinations to produce marijuana, hashish, charas and ganja, generally taken by inhalation and organ ingestion. These are known for their effect on cardiovascular system of the body. Coca alkaloids or cocaine is obtained from coca plants Xylem coca, native in South America. It interferes with the transport of the neurotransmitter dopamine. Cocaine, commonly called coke or crack, is usually snorted. It has a potent stimulating action on central nervous system, producing a sense of euphoria and increased energy. Excessive dosage of cocaine causes hallucination. Other well-known plants with hallucinogenic properties are Atropa, belladonna, and datura. These days, cannabinoids are also being abused by some sportspersons. Drugs like barbiturates, amphetamines, benzodiazepines, and other similar drugs that are normally used as medicine to help patients cope with mental illness like depression and insomnia are often abused. Morphine is a very effective sedative and painkiller and is very useful in patients who have undergone surgery. Several plants, fruits, and seeds having hallucinogenic property have been used for hundreds of years in folk medicine, religious ceremonies, and rituals all over the globe. When these are taken for a purpose other than medicinal use or in an amount of frequency that impairs one's physical, physiological, and psychological function, it constitutes drug abuse. Smoking also paved the way to hard drug. Tobacco has been used by human beings for more than 400 years. It is smoked, chewed, or used as a snuff. Tobacco contains a large number of chemical substances including nicotine and alkaloids. Nicotine stimulates adrenal gland to release adrenaline and noradrenaline into blood circulation, both of which raise blood pressure and increase heart rate. Smoking is associated with increased incidence of cancer of lung, urinary bladder and throat, bronchitis, emphysema, coronary heart disease, gastric ulcer, etc. Tobacco chewing is associated with increased risk of cancer of oral cavity. Smoking increases carbon monoxide content in blood and reduces the concentration of hemoglobin, hemobound oxygen. This causes oxygen deficiency in the body. When one buys packet of cigarette, one cannot miss the statutory warning that is present on the packing, which warns against smoking and says how it is injurious to health. Yet smoking is very prevalent in society, both among young and old. Knowing the danger of smoking and chewing tobacco and its addictive nature, the youth and old need to avoid this habit. Any addict requires counseling and medical help to get rid of the habit. Adolescence and drug or alcohol abuse. Adolescence means both a period and a process during which child becomes mature in terms of his or her attitude and beliefs for effective participation in society. The period between 12 and 18 years of age may be thought of as adolescent period. In other words, adolescence is a bridge linking childhood and adulthood. Adolescence is accompanied by several biological and behavioral changes. Adolescence thus is a very vulnerable phase of mental and psychological development of an individual. Curiosity, need for adventure and excitement and experimentation constitute common causes which motivate youngsters towards drug and alcohol use. A child's natural curiosity motivates him or her to experiment. This is complicated further by effects that might be perceived as benefits of alcohol or drug use. Thus, the first use of drug or alcohol may be out of curiosity or experimentation, but later the child start using these to escape facing problem. Of late, stress from pressure to excel in academic or examination has played a significant role in persuading the youngster to try alcohol and drugs. The perception among youth that it is cool or progressive to smoke, use drug or alcohol is also a major cause for youth to start this habit. Television, movies, newspaper, internet also help to promote this perception. Other factors that have been seen to be associated with drug and alcohol abuse among adolescents are unstable or unsupportive family structure and peer pressure, addiction and dependence. Because of perceived benefit, drugs are frequently used repeatedly. The most important thing which one fails to realize is the inherent addictive nature of alcohol and drugs. Addiction is a psychological attachment to certain effects such as euphoria and temporary feeling of well-being associated with drug and alcohol. These drive people to take them even when these are not needed or even when their use becomes self-destructive. With repeated use of drugs, the tolerance level of the receptor present in our body increases. Consequently, the receptor responds only to higher doses of drug or alcohol, leading to great intake of an addiction. However, it should be borne in mind that use of these drugs even once can be forerunner of addiction. Thus, the addictive potential of drug and alcohol pull the use into a vicious circle, leading to their regular abuse, from which he or she may not be able to get out. In the absence of any guidance or counseling, the person gets addicted and becomes dependent on their use. Dependence is the tendency of the body to manifest characteristics and unpleasant withdrawal syndrome if regular dose of drugs or alcohol is abruptly discontinued. This is characterized by anxiety, shakiness, nausea and sweating, which may be relieved when the use is resumed again. In some cases, withdrawal syndrome can be severe and even life-threatening. The person may need medical supervision. Dependence leads the patient to ignore all social norms in order to get sufficient funds to satiate his or her needs. This results in many social adjustment problems. Effect of drug or alcohol abuse. The immediate adverse effects of drug and alcohol abuse are manifested in the form of reckless behavior, vandalism and violence. Excessive doses of drug may lead to coma and death due to respiratory failure, heart failure or cerebral hemorrhage. A combination of drug or their intake along with alcohol generally result in overdosing and even death. The most common warning sign of drug and alcohol abuse among youth includes drop in academic performance, unexplained absence from school, college, lack of interest in personal hygiene, withdrawal, isolation, depression, fatigue, aggressive and rebellious behavior, deteriorating relationship with family and friends, loss of interest in hobbies, changes in sleeping and eating habits, fluctuation in weight, appetite, etc. There may even be some far-reaching implication of drug alcohol abuse. If an abuser is unable to get money to buy drug or alcohol, he or she may turn to stealing. The adverse effects are just not restricted to the person who is using drug or alcohol. At times, a drug alcohol addict becomes cause of mental and financial distress to his or her entire family and friends. Those who take drugs intravenously directly injection into the vein using a needle and syringe are much more likely to acquire serious infections like AIDS and hepatitis B. The viruses which are responsible for this disease are transferred from one person to another by sharing or infected needles and syringe. Both AIDS and hepatitis B infection are chronic infection and ultimately fatal. Both can be transmitted through sexual contact or infected blood. The use of alcohol during adolescence may also have long-term effect. It could lead to heavy drinking in adulthood. The chronic use of drug and alcohol damages nervous system and liver cirrhosis. The use of drug and alcohol during pregnancy is also known to adversely affect the fetus. Another misuse of drugs is what certain sportspersons do not enhance their performance. They misuse narcotics, analgesic, anabolic steroid, diuretic and certain hormones in sports to increase the muscle strength and bulk and to promote aggressiveness and as a result increase athletics performance. The side effects of the use of anabolic steroid in females include musculation, features like males, increased aggressiveness, mood swing, depression, abnormal menstrual cycle, excessive hair growth on the face and body, enlargement of clitoris, deepening of voice. In males, it includes acne, increased aggressiveness, mood swing, depression, reduction of size of testes, decreased sperm production, potential for kidney and liver dysfunction, breast enlargement, premature baldness, enlargement of prostate gland. This effect may be permanent with prolonged use. In the adolescent male or female, severe facial and body acne. The premature closure of growth center of the long bones may result in stunt growth. Prevention and control. The age-old adage of prevention is better than cure hold true here also. It is also true that habits such as smoking, taking drugs or alcohol are more likely to take up at a young age, more during adolescence. Hence, it is best to identify the situation that may push an adolescent towards use of drugs or alcohol and to take remedial measures well in time. In this regard, the parent and the teacher have a special responsibility. Parenting the combined with high level of nurturance and consistent discipline has been associated with lower risks of the substance alcohol, drug, tobacco abuse. Some of the measures mentioned here would be particularly useful for prevention and control of alcohol and drug abuse among adolescents. 1. Avoid undue peer pressure. Every child has his or her own choice and personality which should be respected and nurtured. A child should not be pushed unduly to perform beyond his or her threshold limit, be it study, sports or other activities. 2. Education and counseling. Educating and counseling him or her to face problems and stresses and to accept disappointment and failure as a part of life. It would also be worthwhile to channelize the child's energy into healthy pursuits like sports, reading, music, yoga and other extracurricular activities. 3. Seeking help from partner and parents and peers. Help from parents and peers should be sought immediately so that they can guide appropriately. Help may even be sought from close and trusted friends. Besides getting proper advice to sort out their problems, this would help young to vent their feelings or anxiety and guilt. 4. Looking for danger signs. Alert parent and teacher need to look for and identify the danger signs discussed above. Even friends, if they find someone using drug or alcohol, should not hesitate to bring this to the notice of parents or teachers in the best interest of the person concerned. Appropriate measure would then be required to diagnose the malady and the underlying causes. This would help in initiating proper remedial steps or treatment. 5. Seeking professional and medical help. A lot of help is available in the form of highly qualified psychologists, psychiatrists, and de-addiction and rehabilitation program to help individuals who have unfortunately got in the quagmire of drug or alcohol abuse. With such help, the affected individual with sufficient effort and willpower can get rid of the problem completely and lead to a perfectly normal